Hey everybody, this is Teri Kerr, Executive Coach and Empowerment Strategist with the Unstuck Duck Coaching. Welcome to my podcast. Here is where I showcase the stories of extraordinary survivors who have made the conscious decision to pivot and thrive. So today I have a good friend of mine, Annette Dewandel. Annette is it's hard, I call you Nettie, a breast cancer survivor from Victoria, BC, and the owner of Very Good Food. So welcome.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for joining me. I'm just really appreciate it. And I love your story.
Happy to be here and happy to share it with you.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell me about you.
About me, I've lived in North Saanich for 35 years now since I got married. I grew up Island. I was born in Edmonton. Grew up on Quadra, which was a big change, and yeah, just country girl.
Nice. Okay. And so you live up on North Saanich. You have kids, and you have your husband, Mike.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have a grown daughter and son. They're both married, and yeah, we're close.
Great. Okay. So I know your cancer story, but I'd love it if you would share it. So tell me a bit about how that whole thing happened.
How that whole thing happened. I had a lump, and I had lumps before in my breast, so that wasn't a huge cause for alarm. But I went for a mammogram, and they did an ultrasound right away, and they did a biopsy that day. And they basically told me that day I was pretty much prepared that it was cancer, just from the reaction of the doctor. So I had a week to wait to find out for sure. So I didn't tell anyone that I had already had a biopsy other than Mike. So after the week, went in, talked to the doctor, and sure enough, had cancer. Mike was with me when we heard. Decided to just keep cool heads till we figured out what was next and what that involved and everything. So went back to work. And an hour later, I got a call and found out my dad had been killed. The same day, the same time I was getting my diagnosis. So honestly, I don't even remember telling my kids I had cancer. It was all a blur. It was a whirlwind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. So when we met in chemo class. Do you want to tell that story?
Intro to chemo. Yeah. I didn't realize we're supposed to bring our family and our support group and everything. So I think I was the only one there alone. And you picked me out. You saw me and probably felt sorry for me. So you introduced yourself, and I think we were both the only ones around the same age. Yeah, Jeff with you. And yeah, you were a neat person, and we realized both of our first chemo dates didn't work for us, so we swapped chemo. Apparently it was a curse.
Yeah, I started 3 days earlier than I was supposed to, and you got to finish your holiday to Tofino.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and we became really good friends.
Yes.
And what has always struck me is how patient, not patient, that's not the word, private, really, how private you have been about all of it. I've been an open book through all of things, and I've been open to, you asked me a question and I would tell you everything. And like you said, don't even remember telling your kids. And I remember just having this awe in my heart of how could you do that? Keep that to yourself. Like, that's a pretty freaking amazing skill. And I really appreciated that. It was a totally different approach from mine. So, yeah.
And on the other hand, I thought it was really cool how you shared. Like, for me, I did go on Facebook through the experience and tried to share a lot, just because I admired that in you, that you get a lot more support when you're out there and you tell people what you're going through and they can understand it and relate to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting to see the different ways that people go through it, right?
Yeah.
So at what point did you realize, so I want to just kind of move a little bit forward. So at what point did you realize that you didn't want, actually, hang on, backing up. What were you doing before you got sick?
I was working at Viking Air. I was working full-time in procurement, and it was kind of more than full-time. It was a really demanding job. Yeah, high pressure, long hours, fun, but stressful, very stressful.
And how long had you been there?
I had been there, I guess, 7 years when I got cancer.
Yeah. Okay. And you went back to work after you were done
I
treatment?
did. And I went back as fast as I could, which live and learn, right? Yeah, I got my diagnosis, went back to work for a month, and then I had my surgery, and then I started chemo. So I had my surgery in February, and I was back to work January 1st the next year. So, yeah.
And that was tough. That was tough for you.
It was really tough. Yeah. It was really hard physically and mentally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at what point did you realize that you didn't really want to be there anymore?
I did that for 8 months, and then I went on stress leave. And I was on stress leave for 3 months and determined to get right back at it as fast as I could once again. And it was about, I guess, a year after that I was just done. I just didn't want to do it anymore. There was no more joy in it. It was just stressful and exhausting. My manager was really understanding and let me work part-time hours, my own hours, but I still had the same workload. So it was even more stressful because it's doing a full-time job in part-time hours. And I'm sure if I had complained, they could have taken away some of my workload, but that's not me. I didn't want to give up any of my time. You know what it's like. So,
I remember very clearly a conversation you and I had where you said, I just want to stay home and breed whippets.
Yes. True. Yes.
Yeah. So tell us about your whippets.
I have 2 dogs. I have had one, he's 11, and he's my buddy. He's my walking companion all through chemo. I did a ton of walking and loved having a dog because even when you don't feel like it, they snuggle you, they're there for you, they look at you, ready to go whenever you're ready for a walk. And whippets are really mellow, so it was never high pressure to walk. It was just waiting for me when I was ready. So, yeah, he's a really good dog, and I kind of wanted a buddy for him, so kept an eye out, and we got a rescue this year. He's just almost 2.
And he's a whippet too?
He's a whippet too. He was a race dog, and he was exercise intolerant. He said he's my spirit animal.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm exercise intolerant too.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So when you had, that was one of many conversations that we had, right? And, but when you really decided that maybe you really didn't want to be at Viking Air anymore, how did that make you feel?
Kind of panicky and kind of like a light bulb at the same time, because it's that security of what you know and a good income and benefits to being like, hey, not to have that pressure, and that stress and getting up at 5 every morning and going to work. And yeah, it was exciting and scary. Yeah.
I remember, I've been through it, right? So tell me about what happened next with your business, with your, not whippets.
Not whippets, didn't end up reading. I started baking. We have a suite above our shop. And so we had this empty kitchen, and I was like, hey, I could turn it into a business. Rather than renting out the suite, I thought I'd use the kitchen. So I started baking for just one coffee shop to see how it would go, how popular it would be, what the demand was for vegan and gluten-free baking. And it was really, it's a thing. People love it. There are people that have a hard time finding stuff they like. So it was going really well. Decided that it was time to actually make it a real business and make it a commercial kitchen and put in the triple sink and all the whole 9 yards. And then my daughter and son-in-law wanted to move into the suite. I was going to lose my kitchen. So I had to decide if I wanted to go big or go home. So I had to either rent out a commercial space or rent out a space and put in a commercial kitchen. Because if I rent a commercial kitchen, it wouldn't be gluten-free. There would be cross-contamination. So talked about it with Mike, my husband, and he suggested we put in a kitchen in the house separately, a brand new kitchen. So that was cool. He was super supportive. I was so happy that he was so supportive. My family was so supportive. Put the kitchen in, finally got everything licensed and inspected and all that done just in the last month. So getting into a few new places and getting it up and running.
Yeah. So tell me what all you bake.
I bake mostly muffins and cookies is the biggest thing over the holidays. And when I do markets, I do a few more things like peanut butter cups and Nanaimo bars and kind of specialty things. But mostly it's cookies. I have about 10 kinds of cookies I make, and banana muffins are the most popular.
Yeah, and they're all vegan and gluten-free.
Yes.
But they do include nuts.
Yeah, some of them do. Yeah. Yes.
So when you were starting out and decided that you wanted to go full bore, so you have a couple different coffee shops that you supply for, and now a couple markets as well, like Deep Cove Market.
Yeah.
Nice work, by the way. What were some of the barriers that you encountered when you were first starting out?
Having the confidence to go for it, for one thing, because it's a ton of paperwork, a lot of red tape, and filling out all these safety forms and your cleanliness, like your sanitary, how you're going to clean everything, and everything you're going to bake, all your ingredients, all your steps, getting your septic field inspected, getting to me, all that stuff that's not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's the drudgery of the entrepreneur life, right? A lot of it is just because we don't know what we don't know, and we learn in the trenches, really.
Yeah.
So I know that many of the people that I've spoken to, and I know you and I have had this conversation as well, and I have the conversation all the time, is how we balance that fear of recurrence with the desire to live our best life now. So how do you do that?
I think it's hand in hand, because I think your best life now is eating well and exercising, but not like at the gym, like going for a run. The gym I do once in a while. That's part of it. But doing something I like is more like working out with a friend and going for a run and cooking a really delicious, like we do eat well. I love food. So just eating good food, to me, that's part of taking care of my health.
Yeah. How did you get into baking gluten-free and vegan stuff? Like, how did that become a thing for you?
For me, that was because my daughter is gluten intolerant. She has been for years, and my daughter-in-law as well. And my daughter also can't eat eggs. So rather than cooking their food and our food, it just started being that I just try to, when we eat together, I would cook things that we could all eat and try to make it yummy enough that nobody complained.
Mm-hmm. And what's your biggest seller?
Power cookies.
They're
oatmeal cookies, and they have goji berries and mango, coconut, and pumpkin seeds in them. They're kind of a power bar. They're a meal replacement often for me.
Yeah, and they're so good. Those are the ones that I got for my son's friend, right? Yeah. So if you could go back in time, what would one nugget of information be that you wish you knew?
I think to slow down. I think the whole processing everything and working through having cancer, getting over cancer, I wish I just slowed down. I thought it was really cool that you took like an extra year because you had to heal. I feel like I didn't take that time to heal. I just wanted to jump right back into everything. And I don't know what the rush was in the long run. Just take your time and decide what you want to do.
Yeah. I was really blessed because I had that opportunity to have that extra time. But I also had a lot more treatment than you did, right?
You did.
Like my chemo went a lot longer. I had a whole other surgery after. So
and you did radiation as well.
Yeah, I did radiation as well.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't regret any of that, but it really took a toll on me. I remember when after my bilateral mastectomy and I had the DIEP flap, you know, to reconstruct out of my stomach. And I had these drains and I had them like in my pelvic area and in my armpits and all these different places. And I went to go get my drains out and the nurse forgot to take one of the stitches out.
Oh.
And she pulled it and I snapped. I remember very clearly, Jeff was with me and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this. And I lost my shit.
Yeah.
And I started to cry and I probably cried for 3 days.
Yeah.
And it was like a physical snap in my brain where I'm like, this is it. I'm done. I am done. I can't do this anymore. And I just remember very clearly, you know, that was one of my pivotal moments for me about really taking my own, you know, I had gone along with everything that they had suggested up until that point.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm done. And you know, you took your treatment by the horns. I went along with everything that they told me to do. But you not choosing radiation was like, to me, it was an opportunity to really have a say in what was going on with your body. Right.
Yeah.
And
I don't regret that decision. Everybody has to make their own decisions.
Yeah, totally. So, what is the best business advice you've been given?
I was going to say know your numbers because that's a huge one. It's so easy to get in and buy stuff and set your prices and everything without really knowing your bottom line, your profit margins. So I was going to say that. And then this week I read some business tips, and the first one was take care of yourself first before your business. And I thought that one's amazing because it's true. Your business can't thrive if you don't. You have to put yourself first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that brings us right back to the very beginning, right? Like, you know, you and I, before we got sick, we're both go. And, you know, that played a part. I believe that played a part in why I got sick. And not taking care of myself first.
Yeah.
So if you were, what would one piece of advice you would give another cancer survivor that's feeling stuck and looking to pivot?
Explore your options. Just what are your passions? Even if it doesn't seem like it would make money, just think about for me, it was stay at home and breed whippets. And obviously that was not reasonable, but work from home. I love working from home. To me, I'm maybe not a people person. To me, this is fabulous. I love being alone in my kitchen with my music on and setting my own hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we live on the west coast of Canada, so we have quite a large vegan and gluten-free population here. It's a very it's almost mainstream how, you know, and people buy vegan and gluten-free, even if they themselves are not vegan and gluten-free, because your cookies are hot damn awesome.
Thanks.
People should know that. They are very good food. I love your play on words with the VGF.
Yeah.
So how can we find out more about you and your products?
I don't have a website, but I have an Instagram account I try to take lots of pictures. I'm not great at social media. I do have Facebook as well. I don't, you probably have the links available.
I'll put the links up too. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, on there, I guess.
Okay. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
I don't think so. Is there anything else you wanted me to talk about?
No, I'm not going to ask you for your recipes or anything.
Okay.
Your proprietary recipes that you're welcome to email me privately.
And you cookies.
Oh, perfect. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This is great. And I actually tell your story often about, how you were working in procurement at, in a great job, according to the, society's great job people. And you just said, you know what, I want to bake cookies. I'm going to stay home and bake cookies, and I'm going to build a commercial kitchen, and I'm going to do my own thing, and I'm going to be able to, set my own hours and choose what I want to do. And that was very much part of why I chose to do what I'm doing. I miss some of the people and none of the process of my old job.
Yeah.
And I do not miss having to get up in the morning and go do someone else's bidding. And I don't miss that at all. Not even, yeah. And when I'm having a rough day in my business, all I have to do is remember just how badly I don't want to go back. Right?
Yeah.
I know that, I have the power to set up how I want to do this. And, that opportunity to pivot, not everybody has it. Not everybody has those, that drive. I don't know, like for me, my parents were entrepreneurs. So to me, it kind of, my dad owned a bunch of shoe stores, and he became a realtor mid 40s. And my mom became a realtor as well when she was early 40s. And what's funny is they always taught me because they were self-employed and entrepreneurs was, get a good job with a pension. You need to have a pension, and you have to do, make sure that you have stability. And that was so contrary to what they did. And probably that's why they wanted me to be safe. But it was my realization that they wanted me to be safe as their daughter. But I still had that entrepreneurial spirit in me, and I really wanted to be on my own because I have a real driving need for autonomy and, my own time. So thanks so much. I just love your story, and I love you. I think you're fantastic. So thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thanks. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.